Hello, welcome back to the page, or the YouTube channel, or wherever you're watching this, or listening. Before we start and get into this video, would you mind liking and subscribing? That is the only thing that I keep forgetting to say. So yeah, you'd be doing me a favour if you like it and subscribe, because I know there is actually people watching this, which blows my mind, but with YouTube you get the analytics and stuff, so if you could like it and subscribe, that'd be brilliant. Thanks very much. This video's got to be slightly different. I am going to do like a kind of review of the shit that you can buy on the internet, and I think I should maybe make like a jingle about people who push stuff on the internet that is absolute dog shit basically, and a waste of money. So I'm going to be buying things and going over them. This one in particular, the very first one that we've ever done, is a carnivore recipe book, which I thought was, I knew it was going to be a waste of money, but I wanted to get the physical proof of that. So we're going to go through it. On this though, I'm not going to like share the guy's name or the person's name, sorry. The person's name, the book itself, its page or the page or anything like that, because if you start giving people like traffic and stuff, you know, you might gain a follower or two and things like that, and know that I'm any sort of influencer or have a massive following for people to then go, but the way to stop shit like this is to stop sending people to the page. So here's like this person in particular has like 200,000 TikToks and stuff like that, but bullshit sells. You know, I listen to a lot of Lane Norton, and he mentions that when he started trying to market himself, he went to a marketer and he said, how can I help like boost my profile, get more people out there? Lane Norton's brilliant, by the way. He's like the non, he goes through the weeds with all like the claims and stuff that you find on the internet when it comes to fitness and nutrition. Anyway, he went to a marketer and the marketer said you need to scare people into buying your product and scare them into like viewing your page and stuff, and he refused to do it, which just goes to show like scaremongering is a massive part of shit that gets sold on the internet. So anyway, bought this carnivore ebook of recipes. It cost me 15 quid, which is, I knew it was mental from the beginning, but you can buy a book that will tell you all things nutrition from Amazon for less than that, like a James Smith book or a Ben Carpenter book. So to buy this for 15 quid is fucking mental, but I'm doing it as to help you guys in the hope that you never have to buy anything like this anyway. So we're going to break it down into, before we get into that as well, I've put up there, I'm not going to slander the guy or name and shame kind of thing, because he might I get the impression he's a genuine fucking idiot and he's been, I'm not going to say brainwashed, but he might genuinely just think what he's doing is correct, and I think it's absolutely terrible. But there's many people out there which will hopefully keep this series going. Anyway, I'm going to break it down into two massive things which obviously encompass a recipe book, is the food choices that he uses and the calories. Now with the food choices, I thought that, sorry, my phone just went off. When I thought of a recipe, like a carnivore recipe book, I thought to myself, there can't be that much choice in food there, because if you're a die-hard carnivore or a lion, I think it's called a lion level carnivore, you're only getting meat or seafood potentially. And I thought off the top of my head about 18 things, and eggs and butter and cream, something like that. And I thought about 18 things I could get from my local Tesco down the road. I knew I was going to get a fucking phone call. From my local Tesco's. So I thought 18 things, and it's got to have very limited choices. I go through his book and there's only 8 different choices of food, which is fucking mental. Like that's why I wanted to do this, because I thought, how many recipes can you make in a recipe book of only carnivore diets? and he only uses 8 choices, which I knew there's got to be, it's not going to be exciting. But anyway, in his book, he mentions the word testosterone superpower when you eat beef. Beef is a testosterone superpower. Now when you start creating words like that, an alarm should go in your head by saying absolute bullshit. Because I tell you what, I've been eating beef pretty much for the last 13 years, 14, all my life, but constantly for the past 15 years. Which I would have thought, if that's a testosterone superpower, I'd look like the fucking Hulk for now. And evidently I don't. So there's already bullshit at the very start of this. The other thing he recommends you do is fasting and a carnivore diet, which is 2 extremely depressing words that you put together. Like that just does not sound like a good time. And to do that constantly for like a number of weeks, like 8, 10, 12 weeks is crazy. Or potentially do it for a prolonged period of time. Anyway, one of the other things I noticed in there as well with the food is carnivore diets like hate carbs, obviously, and they desperately try and help get you to avoid breads and go into like ketosis, and so like breads, wraps, rolls, fucking all that sort of stuff is out the window, noodles, rice and things like that. But in this recipe book, they desperately try and make rolls and wraps and things like noodles. So, and the way they do it is using eggs. So they basically make an omelette, which might have a bit of cheese in it, and then they use that as like the bun, or they use the omelette for a wrap, or they use noodles. They make a fucking like an egg omelette and then cut into strips and use that as noodles. And I'm thinking, for people who hate that kind of stuff, but they're trying to recreate it. And I know you can say it's 2024, it's fine to make things like that, but to demonise it so much, but then try and make your own version of it, I think it's fucking mental as well. And one of the other things I noticed as well is there's 34 diets, 34 recipes in there, and 10 of them are single ingredient. So something like, within those 10 is like a brisket. He's just put brisket, cook it, and then there's another 2 in there which is bacon crisps and bacon fries, and all they are is bacon cut into different shapes. And people watch that and think, I'm assuming people buy this and look at it and think, this is a great idea. I can't believe this has only cost me 15 quid. It's fucking mental. The next thing's on calories. There should be, I think when you create a recipe book and you're trying to push some sort of diet, you need a disclaimer in there to say, you know, calories are what matter most. I prefer you follow carnivore diet because X, Y, and Z. And then hopefully you see through that and be like, oh God, that's bullshit. But anyway, on it he says, don't count them. But also in there, it has recipes that are almost 1,500 calories. It has a snack in there which is 800 calories. And I also think, if I remember right, it has a coffee in there which is coffee and butter, or maybe cream, and it's like 800 calories. And it's such a, the reason I'm completely dissecting this, taking the piss out of it, because it's such a, what's the word for it? No, immature. It's such a crazy fucking thing to put out there, and for him to believe that calories don't matter. Because he's also got in there that calories don't count. Don't count them. You don't need to. But if you're trying to lose weight and you stop, you plateau, then you start counting them. Like it makes no sense. But is it naive? Maybe the word's naive. Like I said, maybe he's just a fucking idiot. So he's got 1,500 calorie dinner in there. That is enough calories for somebody just for their day. If they try to lose weight, they might just have to eat 1,500 calories. But he's trying to push having that just for a meal. It's incredible. But the claims in there, a lot of the claims he's put in there, so he's got there in fat loss, you have more energy. And one of the things he's put in there as well is mental clarity. How you measure that, I have no idea. But he's also put in that your skin and your appearance gets better. But if you look at that guy, he genuinely looks like pasty white. Like, absolutely terrible anyway. Lowers cardiovascular risk and disease, and apparently minimises joint pain. All of those things are associated with a calorie deficit. So if you lose weight, you're likely going to improve all that sort of stuff. So again, the claims that he's making is just what a calorie deficit would help with. But he's putting it in this format that if you follow the carnivore diet, all this stuff will happen, when really a calorie deficit will do exactly the same. A few things to wrap up on. I'm not slating carnivore diets as a whole, but it's a very difficult diet to keep up with if you're trying to socialise or try to keep your social side of your life intact. So what I mean by that is, if you go to the office and say, if you work in an office and you pull out 2 or 3 burgers, you shouldn't really think much about what people will think of you with your food. Like, you shouldn't look too much into it, but at the same time, you're always conscious of it. And people who say they aren't are probably talking shite. But those sort of things you need to consider if you're happy to pull. I used to take mackerel into my office, and I used to put it in I used to heat it up, and the smell of it was fucking incredible. Like, it honestly emptied the room, and I thought, I'm not doing that again. Nobody ever found out it was me, but I was like, I'm not doing that again. But these sort of things you need to think about. Also, like going to parties. You know, again, I've said that quite a few times, but like a kid's party, kids come up to you and ask, do you want a sweetie? Do you want a crisp with that? And you're like, no, I'm on a carnivore diet. Like, you look a bit of a bell end. So if you're happy to for all those things, then bash on. But I just think you could be enjoying life a little bit more rather than doing that. One of the things about carnivore diets as well is fruit and veg. There's a I don't know the name of it, but carnivore diets, some of them encourage, or carnivore followers encourage eating fruit and veg, which is brilliant, because what carnivore diets don't have is the nutrients that fruit and veg provide you, because obviously you don't eat them, but in some cases some people encourage you that you do. So that's a brilliant start, and you should always include things like that. There's nothing out there that's ever said that eating fruit and veg is bad for you. There's nothing out there. What I will say about a carnivore diet though is to wrap it up, it could be a good starting place for somebody with, I'm going to say, carrying a little bit extra weight. So if you needed something to sort of kickstart, like lose the first 20 kilos, removing a macronutrient could help at the very beginning. But if you're then trying to take that step into, you're at a decent size that you're happy with, and then you're now trying to, I don't want to say optimize everything, but to move on to the next stage, I'd then include carbs, because there's nothing wrong with them, and they can actually help you if you're trying to perform good in the gym. So again, it could be a good start point. I'm not going to completely bash it, but when people are pushing shit like this and selling you a 15 quid recipe book, and people are actually could potentially be buying it, boggles my mind. Anyway, I wanted to wrap up. I wanted to finish on this. At the very end of the book, his last line says, "I am not a doctor." Thank fuck for that, because we're absolutely screwed if this guy was a doctor. I think I'm done there. I'm not going to go into any more of it, but just be wary when people are pushing their shit. And even if it does have plenty of followers, or these people do have plenty of followers, doesn't necessarily mean what they're claiming is like good information. There is plenty of examples out there of people who try and sell and push it is actually no good for you. So I'll be back in a few weeks with the next one, which I think will probably be about the baby food diet. And like I said, what I wanted to wrap up on this is you should have things like this, and also when you're creating videos like this, you should have some sort of disclaimer that looks like this.